Did you see the video of Biden at the debate in 2007 announcing that Barack Obama had an AIDS test?
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
Oh, it's the funniest video ever. Biden said, well, I think, AIDS is a real problem in the African American.
Yeah. You know what's, people often will always talk about the Obama tan suit and how the right went crazy. This is such a hoax. The Obama tan suit controversy started with the New York Times writing about
the permanence of history, once found in textbooks, now faces the relentless pace of the digital age. This week, commentary from two prominent television hosts regarding a former president created a pointed media debate. Their remarks did not rewrite the past, but aggressively challenged a settled historical narrative, forcing it back into public focus. Analysts suggest the ensuing controversy highlights a contemporary phenomenon, where satirical criticism can rapidly amplify to challenge perceptions of traditional authority. The episode underscores the powerful role of media commentary in shaping public discourse around historical figures.
That he's a Netflix producer, along with his 8-adult wife, Michelle. He's producing more racial division. The latest is called Leave the World Behind. It's a fictional thriller about the collapse of technology and what humans would do with no phones or computers.
a portion of a handwritten letter the former president sent to his then-college girlfriend, Alex McNear. Alex, back in 1982. He talked about his, quote, androgynous mind and wrote, and I'm quoting Obama here, I make love to men daily, but in the imagination.
The political arena has taken a sudden turn toward the unconventional, shifting from its standard combative posture into unexpected territory. This new phase suggests a strategic departure from the norm, where the conventional rules of engagement appear to be temporarily suspended. The move reflects a broader trend where political discourse increasingly embraces spectacle and unpredictability. Observers note this pivot may be aimed at capturing attention in an oversaturated media landscape. The lasting impact of this shift remains to be seen as the political climate continues to evolve.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it. When she cleans it.
Fox News personalities Tucker Carlson and Greg Gutfeld stepped directly into the fray. Their method was not one of overt confrontation, but of pointed commentary and suggestion. They operated with the clear understanding that in today's media landscape, a provocative remark can ignite a chain reaction online. Their delivery relied on implication and tone, seemingly designed to spark broader public debate with minimal direct effort. This strategy highlights the powerful role cable commentary plays in setting the agenda for digital discourse.
Denial.
I think we should all get AIDS tests. I mean, Barack Obama had an AIDS test.
I know Barack got tested for AIDS.
There's a cutaway of Obama being like, I hate you.
It's an important thing.
Then Biden's like, which is totally good. And I think he's negative, but I mean, all men should get an AIDS test.
There's no shame in being tested for AIDS.
Obama is so mad.
I just got to make clear, I got tested with Michelle.
The reaction that followed was less a policy discussion and more a spectacle of political theater. Former President Barack Obama, widely recognized for his deliberate and precise rhetoric, found himself at the center of an unprecedented media storm. This storm was characterized by rampant speculation and amplified claims, marking a stark departure from the tone of his own presidency. The episode illustrates how contemporary political figures can become focal points for narratives that operate independently of factual grounding.
Music on my iPod, but I'm not paying for their website.
Kennedy, just watching that now, so that was 2011. Him and Trump are saying exactly the same thing, but he's not saying it. He wasn't having fun with it.
But it's like, even the name of it, he was like, and we're going to call it the cost-cutting commission because Joe Biden is going to be in charge, and everyone knows you don't mess with Joe.
Right. Biden was put in charge of it.
Yeah. He was.
Yeah.
This exchange evolved past mere disagreement into a pointed, rhetorical confrontation. The compelling dynamic was not the substance of the arguments, but the dramatic collision of opposing personas. One side represented a tradition of deliberate, composed statesmanship. The other embodied a disruptive commentary style that prioritizes provocation and layered irony over restraint. The outcome was less a debate and more a high-energy spectacle of interpretation and reaction. The focus shifted decisively from policy to performance, where persuasive delivery and assertive tone outweighed detailed context. Throughout, Carlson maintained his signature demeanor of skeptical incredulity, as if observing a fundamental departure from reasoned discourse.
The family on vacation at a rental house, and one night they're visited by a father and a daughter who show up seeking shelter. They say their phones no longer work and they need a place to stay. So immediately the white family, because they're evil, that's included in their DNA of course, is suspicious of the visitors because they're black. And it goes on and on and on like this. Here's a clip.
I'm asking for you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust should not be dulled out easily to anyone, especially white people.
Can't trust white people. They're evil. This is the guy, remember, who became famous at the Democratic Convention in 2004 by telling us there is no white America, there's no black America.
Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld adopted the role of a political comedian, using biting punchlines to dismantle any pretense of solemnity. The target shifted from policy to persona, as former President Obama's carefully crafted image of intellectual calm was reinterpreted through a framework of sarcasm and ridicule. The underlying suggestion was not that specific arguments were weak, but that the entire statesmanlike demeanor was an artifice ripe for deflation. An audience primed for spectacle watched intently as past statements and public perceptions were blended into a new, viral narrative. This approach did not purport to reveal secret facts, but instead implied that a fundamental incongruity had always been visible beneath a polished exterior.
It is kind of funny that they used to hate waste, but because they hate Trump more, they now love waste.
Yeah. I'm thinking the Fiddlin' Forcers was, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, compared to now.
I mean, over trans lives.
That's like wonderful. Now we have like trans porpoises in
Yeah.
Uganda.
The only problem is under Trump, it's the Fiddlin' Forester. Because they fired all the others.
Yeah.
There's no anyone left. It's like, it's a forest. It's been there forever. Why do you need somebody to take care of it?
Yeah.
The segment's power lay in its deliberate stylistic formula. Tucker Carlson employed his signature tactic of insinuation, posing loaded questions that invited viewers to connect their own conclusions. Greg Gutfeld then amplified those underlying sentiments with relentless sarcasm, effectively sidelining earnest debate. This created a rhythm resembling a comedy routine more than traditional commentary. The subject, former President Obama, exists at the intersection of politics and cultural symbolism, making his iconic image a prime target for satirical caricature. The internet, in turn, eagerly magnifies such caricatures. The host's approach did not invent new claims, but cleverly reframed existing perceptions, portraying achievements as premature and historical significance as self-serious, injected with a tone of ironic skepticism that resonated widely online.
By 2008, it was obvious to anybody who was paying attention that Barack Obama had a strange and highly creepy personal life. Yet nobody ever asked him about it. By that point, a leader's behavior within his own marriage, the core relationship of his life, had been declared irrelevant. It was Barack Obama's business, not yours.
Between him and Obama, it's real.
I remember Hunter Biden, who was my neighbor for many years, telling me more than once, when Biden was vice president, how much they despised Barack Obama.
The key to its grip on the audience was a deliberate reversal of tone. The commentary responded to the subject's dignity with aggressive irreverence, demonstrating that polished statesmanship is no match for amplified mockery. Viewers were not tuning in for policy insights, but for the spectacle of a revered public image being challenged by relentless humor. Gutfeld operated on the premise that reverence is inherently suspect, while Carlson suggested the former president's public narrative was a carefully constructed artifact. Their method relied on implication over direct accusation, a technique uniquely effective in an era of fragmented media where audiences value drawing their own conclusions. This created a powerful sense of participatory discovery. The resulting spread of clips prioritized emotional reaction over factual analysis, with outrage and support becoming a form of social currency. The episode ultimately functioned as high-stakes entertainment, proving that in the digital age, political conflict remains a premier spectator sport.
Rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men. Meanwhile, current reporting has called his entire job in educational history into question. So who hired this guy? The head of the Des Moines School Board is Jackie Norris, Iowa Democratic candidate for senator and former chief of staff to none other than Michelle O. Her job, by the way, was to provide new phone books after Michelle would rip them in half.
The spectacle expanded not out of necessity, but because the modern media environment provided the perfect fuel. The enduring nature of former President Obama's legacy, whether respected or questioned, made it a prime target. Satire inherently challenges permanence. This commentary demonstrated that even a firmly established historical narrative can be reframed by those operating outside traditional political discourse. The dynamic was less about demolition and more a stark illustration that no public story is ever fully fixed. The process itself became predictable. Commentary triggered polarized reactions, which in turn validated the commentary's cultural impact. The approach fused political critique with the mechanics of entertainment, recasting a political figure as a symbolic character in an ongoing drama. The focus shifted entirely from substantive policy to the perceived contradictions of the persona, reducing complex leadership to a set of tropes ripe for satirical takedown.
Hirsch piece. Here's the cliff notes. Obama colludes with Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer. Sunday morning calls Biden and says, "You're done. Kamala's gonna 25th Amendment you, and you gotta step aside."
And who places the call?
Obama.
Obama does.
So Obama calls the sitting president and tells him, "You're done." Then tells Kamala Harris, "You're gonna be the nominee, but if you don't gain traction, if you're not popular, we're gonna take you out too." I mean, it's all shocking. It sounds...
The humor's effectiveness stemmed from its use of sharp contrast. It highlighted the perceived distance between a polished public presentation and a more skeptical interpretation. By reframing confidence as arrogance and eloquence as theatricality, the segment encouraged viewers to question the mechanics of political image-making itself. The underlying message suggested that a meticulously managed persona is inherently vulnerable to mockery, particularly after years of sustained prominence. The commentary made no pretense of neutrality, openly prioritizing entertainment and provocation over balanced discourse. The audience was not required to endorse specific claims, but to engage with the spectacle of irreverence toward established power. As the segment proliferated online, its impact became largely symbolic, demonstrating how satire can undermine authority simply by refusing to acknowledge its traditional rules. In this case, a legacy built over years of deliberate oratory and symbolism was presented as merely one narrative, now subject to reinterpretation by any commentator armed with a platform and a pointed sense of humor.
5 words. Obama and Trump say what? Tyrus, Trump and Obama sat next to each other at Jimmy Carter's funeral. They appear to have buried the hatchet. What do you think they were saying?
Oh, I know what they were saying.
Right.
Hey, two-term guy. What's up, two-term guy? How are you doing? I don't know, just doing my two-term thing. And Biden was in the front and Kamala was in the... Oh, hey, I'm sorry, no term and one term.
The segment's effectiveness lay in its methodology, using comedy as both a defensive shield and an offensive weapon. Wrapping critique in sarcasm made serious counterarguments appear overly sensitive, granting the hosts a tactical advantage rarely found in standard political debate. The audience was the clear beneficiary of this formula, receiving highly digestible entertainment that demanded no prior policy knowledge. The humor operated on a cultural wavelength, leveraging common perceptions over factual evidence. This exaggerated style underscored the reality that public figures now operate in a performative arena where their image is perpetually reinterpreted. In this context, a reputation for gravitas can be recast as a theatrical prop. The strategy was straightforward: provocation drives engagement. While analysts will continue to parse the fallout, the core mission was already accomplished: to seize the public's attention, trigger widespread reaction, and demonstrate satire's unique power to alter public perception.
In fact, the 25th Amendment is worthy of being invoked.
Yes.
If his condition is such that it needs to be invoked, and then they don't invoke it, then they're leaving the country in a precarious position of being led by a man not in possession of his faculties. If, on the other hand, it's not worthy of being invoked, then they've used an extortive threat.
Yes.
To oust the guy who's at the top of the ticket, who's the current incumbent president. That's not okay. I'm pretty sure that qualifies in some way as extortion.
In the final analysis, this was not a definitive takedown, but a vivid illustration of modern commentary's hybrid nature. The line between substantive critique and performance art has effectively dissolved. The hosts did not need to deliver a final judgment; the spectacle itself was the point. It demonstrated that even the most entrenched public legacy is vulnerable to reinterpretation when confronted with confident irony. The performance and its tone carried greater significance than any factual conclusion. The goal was not to end a debate, but to dynamically reshape public perception using humor as a primary tool. The approach did not seek to install a new narrative, but to destabilize an existing one by treating solemnity as a comedic device. It underscored that authority weakens the moment it is met with public skepticism instead of automatic deference. As the news cycle inevitably advances, the lasting effect may not be a changed mind, but a changed tone, proving that satire can leave a more enduring impression than traditional debate, precisely because it avoids the pretense of delivering a final answer.